Welcome to the Probate Podcast, where we talk about all the things you didn't know you need to know about probate. My name is Sherri Lund, and I'm so glad that you're here. I want you to understand the process and to know what to expect because it's going to make things easier and it's going to save you money. And I'm here to show you how. Hey, everybody. I'm so glad to be back with another Probate Podcast. And today, on this episode, we're going to be talking with Shirley Uriostegui. Am I getting it right?
Great, yes.
Shirley is my new friend. I'm so glad to have found her. She is the Regional Veterans Services Liaison for Tri-County Behavioral Health Care. That's a mouthful, but she's awesome. That's the bottom line. Shirley works with veterans. She is a Navy vet herself, and she is the lead peer coordinator for the Military Veteran Peer Network. She fuels her passion to help veterans and their families in our community. She served for 4 years after she graduated from Sam Houston State University, and she's participated in local committees. She is volunteering in task force and finding ways to continue to serve Montgomery County, Liberty County, and Walker County. Born and raised in Texas, Shirley hopes to be an asset in maintaining a healthier state. Isn't that great? Thanks, Shirley, so much for being my guest.
Yes, of course, Sherri. Thanks for the introduction. I know it's a little bit of a mouthful from the name all the way to the title.
Yes. Yeah. Put those two things together and holy cow. Yeah. Your
Right.
business card is just full of letters.
It's something I'm really familiar with. In the Navy, they would always make so much fun of my name tag. This is my maiden name, so I would always go by Yuri. They tried their U-29 or jokes. It's something I'm very familiar with.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I try really hard to get people's names right. And so I appreciate your patience with that. So let's get on to what you do because I can't wait to share this information with people. First, tell me a little bit about you, the person, Shirley, the person.
Yes, absolutely. So I moved back to Texas after the Navy dragged me across the United States and even overseas, but I am back home. I am originally from Northwest Houston, Cypress area, and my husband is a Navy veteran as well. So we found ourselves a new home here in Conroe, and I am a mother to one, but we are a blended family. So I always say I have 3 little ones. Oldest is 13 and the youngest is 7. So when I'm not busy out here in the veteran community, I am extremely busy with the mom schedule, the minivan life and so forth.
Yeah. It's never ending, right?
Right.
24/7. Tell me a little bit about what you do for fun, because I know you work really hard and you work with hard things.
Absolutely. So self-care is huge in the field that I work in. And a lot of what I do is gardening. I am overcoming my challenges with plants. And that's the thing I have found in my role here. And so I do a lot of gardening. I do a lot of reading and a lot of journaling, which at first I'm sure you hear with a lot of veterans. The first stuff that they tell us to try to use to decompress, I'm finding a lot of joy in. So it's pretty great.
Tell me about your time in the Navy, being a woman in the Navy. How long did you serve? How small the ships are? All of that. Give us a glimpse into that.
Absolutely. I love talking about my time in service. I joined right out of high school. I feel like the recruiter just picked me out in senior year, was like, this is what the rest of your life is. And it really was super fun. I have one cousin that was in the Marine Corps, but other than that, no family members had been in the military. So I didn't know what to expect. I didn't watch all the military movies before I joined, just taking everything that they gave me with the sea bags and everything included. I didn't really realize the impact of being a woman, a female in the service, and how different that was. I know our boot camps, it was very by the book in the sense of everyone looked the same. Everything was really organized in a way that helped me understand what was expected of me and what I needed to do. So I really enjoyed that time. I know a lot of people say boot camp, it's so challenging, but a lot of us are like, no, it was the easiest part. You just turn off your brain and you go through the motions, but it was really fun. I enjoyed it. I made a lot of life friends that I didn't think that it's such a strange place to make friends, but it was amazing. And I know a lot of times people are familiar with like the 3-day challenges that the Marines do out in the woods to graduate boot camp. We do battleship, which is a little different. It's amazing, an amazing experience for us. So those of you that served in the Navy, you know what I'm talking about. I was a crypto tech and in Intel. So that was really fascinating. I learned a lot of information and things that I never knew I would get into. My whole time in high school and growing up, I thought I was going to be a nurse. And so having that type of like electronic job, analyzing the electromagnetic spectrum and securing our safety in those ways just was completely opposite of what I had in mind. But the military does a really good job of training you for what they need you to do. So I learned my job very well, and I was stationed on board a destroyer, which at the time, at 2012, was the smallest ship a female could go on. And I loved it. It was like small town. Everyone knew everyone. It was a smaller ship. We had just one female berthing. It was about 36 of us and that sleeping area, sleeping quarters. And I really loved it. But the area I most worked in was called combat on board the ship. And that's where you have all the radars around you. You're analyzing your surroundings and just receiving information from the rest of the fleet, from the rest of the Navy, and so forth. And I did do one deployment to 7th Fleet, which was Asia. Loved it. Singapore, Guam, Thailand, South Korea, you name it, we were there. I loved deployment. And so much so that I told my chief I would stay in if he'll promise me I would go on another deployment. Unfortunately, I was billed to shore duty. And at that point, I was like, no, I'll just transition into civilian life again. I do have my surface warfare pins. They call us surface warriors. I'm also a golden shellback, which means I crossed the equator and the date line. So it's pretty great. Great experiences.
Well, was there a highlight for you in the time that you served?
I think my best highlight was there is a ceremony that we go through when we're passing the equator. And as someone who had no idea of traditions, especially when it comes to the military, it was really great to see this tradition just take form. If you don't know,
I don't.
the process is the individuals who have passed the equator and they're called shellbacks. So those of us who haven't are called wogs. And so as we're passing through, it's a whole day ceremony and they bring in traditions that the Navy had from day one. So it's really good
Wow.
to see all that incorporated. So it's like the new day, but you're still seeing all these things. Like I said, a whole day, they wake you up out of your rag super early. It's almost like pirates and everyone's dressed up and it's really great. And it's kind of like a badge of honor. Like I did this. So a lot of times when you see Navy veterans, they'll ask like, are you a shellback or a filthy wog? And you're like, I'm a shellback.
How fun. I would be thinking about all the people that have gone before me and how they also went through similar ceremonies and those traditions. That's kind of really neat that they continue to do that.
Yes, and it is so neat. I mean, I meet Vietnam era veterans now that served in the Navy, and we talk about crossing the line and what that ceremony was. And they always laugh at, oh my gosh, they're still doing the same things. Like, you can't see me right now, but I am 5'2", so I'm a little bit, what is it, vertically challenged. So they say, like, this little girl, you did the same things I did. And we're like, yes. And so it's really great to have that connection of like
Right.
so many years, hundreds of years of tradition just passed on.
That's so neat. Tell me, let's talk about Tri County and bring it in a little closer to Texas and the work that you do at Tri County.
So one of the things I think we said earlier on is all the hats we wear and how veteran services is like an additional caveat to Tri County proper. And that's because I operate the Military Veteran Peer Network, which is a statewide program. And so Health and Human Services funds and hones in, shapes what the program is supposed to be, creates these contracts, which allows other local mental health authorities in their areas the opportunity to provide additional services specific to veterans and their families. The Military Veteran Peer Network is Texas Veterans Mental Health Response. Anywhere you are in the state of Texas, you should be able to connect with MDPN. And that is something that I love. There's 39 of us representatives throughout the state. We get together once a month virtually, just try to connect, learn some more information so that everyone across the state is being able to receive the same services and are able to be guided and really geared towards it. And I say guided and geared in the sense that we are the grassroots efforts. A lot of what MDPN does and stands for is holding that veteran's hand while they navigate these tough processes. The state of Texas has different resources available to veterans. additional to federal resources. So it's really important. And it kind of gets a little paralyzing when you're hit with, here's a book, here's another booklet. So it's really powerful to be able to guide them step by step. A lot of times what we see is in the military, you're taught to march in the footsteps of the person in front of you. And then you're kind of left after. You separate from the military and they say, okay, goodbye, figure it out. So it's really easy to look towards a veteran that's receiving those benefits or maybe took advantage of some of those benefits and follow in their footsteps, which is what we see not just in the veteran community, but more specifically in the veteran community, where we are able to turn back and say, hey, you need help. Let me help you this way. And so I am so proud of the state of Texas for everything that they have done, everything they continue to do. Veteran and military topics are normally at the forefront of all legislative meetings. So it's really amazing. And I'm also proud of the other PSCs, peer service coordinators across the state for all their sacrifices and everything they continue to do to make sure veterans and family members are being supported. And it's tough when you transition out of the military and you feel like your unit, your team is gone. But we're telling them, no, we're still here. There's still a network of people here for you.
Yeah. And that's why I'm really glad to have you here today to help spread the word of what you do. And some of the things that you talked about being a guide and coming alongside in someone else's steps, that's not to take away at all what you do for the military families in our area and really for the state of Texas. And just to interject there, the states are different, aren't they, in what they offer? So they're federal that go all across the nation, but Texas is known as a good state for veteran benefits. Is that correct?
That is correct. Anywhere from educational benefits to employment benefits, as well as property benefits. Everyone is familiar with like VA home loans, but they're not very familiar with like the Veterans Land Board, which also offers an additional service, additional financing, additional, I guess, first look at properties and homes that are available. And so the state of Texas does a lot more to caveat.
Yeah, and I was just going to say that as someone who helps people with probate and end of life transitions, I am a guide like that too, where it's just overwhelming. All of a sudden, their life has changed and they have to figure this legal process out, or they have to find out how to fund mom's care in a hurry. And where do you go for those resources? And so, one of the things I love about this podcast and my vision for it is to connect resources together so that if I come across a vet and they need something, I know who to call. And you have connected me with other people too. And so as we make those connections tighter, our network becomes stronger so that it can trickle down to our communities and help them to be healthier. So people don't have to feel like they're alone.
Right. In the past, it used to be services were really protective of who they were serving and didn't want to quote unquote share. Then we're seeing that swap drastically. If I can't help, who can I get in the picture to help?
Right.
And so it's really great to connect with you, Sherri. I know what we focus on is the mental health side of it, but being able to have you for additional questions and support. I can be an expert in this role and you can be an expert in that role, and I can ask over to you. It's great.
For sure. But also there's mental health issues that crop up in probate. So it goes both ways for sure. I took your class and I was so glad. I met you just a couple of weeks ago. And then it just so happened that your monthly class was offered at your office. And so I attended that. So grateful to have participated in that. It was really good. I'm sure you'll plug that later.
Yeah.
But also at one of those events, I don't remember which one. I want to say it was a big number. I don't want to say what I think I heard because it's ridiculously high. But what's the percentage of vets who don't take advantage or don't know about the benefits? Do you remember that number?
Up top of my head, I think it's 33% of veterans that are not taking advantage of any. And then it's another 33% that are taking really minimal benefits. Maybe they utilize the VA home loan, maybe they utilize the GI Bill for their education, but that's where they stop. So even at that rate, we're looking at 66% receiving very minimal services.
What I have in my notes is like 95% don't get the full benefits. So that kind of is in line with what if 66% are just getting basic or none, maybe it was 95% that I heard. That's crazy. Tell us about the people that you serve. Who can reach out to you and what do you do for them?
Absolutely. Really, anyone in our community that's military connected. And when I say community, I mean in the 3 counties. We cover Liberty, Walker, and Montgomery County. And then military connected, if you're in a position where you need support, additional resources, whatever we can do to provide that help, And let's say you have a great grandpa that served, we want to be able to provide that help. Like I said, our services are very mental health based, but we do a lot of referrals to additional resources. We just want to make sure that you're fully connected and full round in support with our services. Here at Tri-County in-house, we focus on free counseling as well as case management. And this case management can look like education benefits, seeing what's there for you. It can look like employment preparedness. Maybe you need some mock interview skills. Maybe you're looking at redoing your resume or want some assistance in what a LinkedIn is. We have people here that will help you with that free of charge. We also have the peer-to-peer support, which is veterans connecting with other veterans. We empower veterans to go in our community, understand what mental health challenges are, and be able to provide support to others, be able to guide them if they are needing some more support. A lot of what we do is resource connection. I get about an average of 5 calls a day, and that's a really good day. On a really intense day, I get about 17 calls of just individuals in the community that are like, hey, I have a question about this. And we answer it on the spot, and that's it. A lot of times it starts with one question, and then before you know it, the veteran is coming in the office every 2 weeks, just trying to get answers, get another piece of paperwork filled out, maybe toss some ideas around. And that's really what we want mental health to shape and what our programs to look like. If you are someone that's military connected, you just need some additional guidance, you want that support, we're here for you. We are a team of 5. We're built for 2 counselors. We currently only have 1. But we're hiring. So if you're looking, we also have 1 case manager and 2 of our peer support.
And talk a little bit about the mentoring program. I thought that was a really neat thing that you offer.
Absolutely. So mentoring, it's where we empower other veterans to get involved. A lot of what we're mentoring in is the justice involved system. So justice involved veterans, sometimes called the invisible veteran, or veterans that may be incarcerated or maybe going through the justice system process and need additional support, another accountability buddy. In the military, I know when I first checked on board, I had a mentor, and that was the theory behind it. If you have someone that can really guide and support you through whatever challenge you might be facing, you're going to be more successful on the other end. And so that's what we have our mentors do. We talk to them about mental health challenges. A lot of them have had difficulty transitioning as well. Some of them have had their own challenges and came out on the other side. And that is the part of service for them. They know that they are going to continue to be successful in their lives as they're providing that service to the community. A lot of times when we separate from the military, we come back home. Even though Texas loves its veterans, here in Conroe and Walker County, we don't necessarily have like a base that we can access that has a base store, but knowing that there is a network of other veterans who understand you really goes a long way. I'm so proud of Montgomery County and everything they have done. We do have a vets pod in our Montgomery County jail, which is a section of the jail reserved just for veterans, in the sense of veterans that have nonviolent offenses, veterans that are willing to embrace and learn new ways to deal and cope. And we're able to go into that jail once a week. We provide case management, we do groups there, and our mentors go in and provide support. We have one mentor that has like an entrepreneur group, really guiding them. He's done about 3 LLCs, an amazing individual, always hoping to get them motivated and get them really creating a plan, an exit strategy. We have another mentor who used to be a parole officer who's saying, when you get in front of the judge, this is what they want to see. And so we're really honing in on what can our mentors do to help guide these veterans.
Yeah, it's so awesome. I was thinking about my dad and my uncles have passed away, but there are a lot of people that are their ages that have not passed. So they served in the military and they're still alive. And then there are people my age, my kids' age, like at least 5 generations maybe of veterans that you guys are trying to represent and understand, but that the services that you want to provide when someone comes in your door, it could be any one of those 5 generations, and their needs would be very different. Someone who's fresh out of high school and someone who's in their 80s, but they're still a veteran and or their family member. That's an enormous amount of the population. And then when you think about the military and the mental health issues that they might have, I know a lot of people will associate PTSD. But I'm telling you, just those forms to fill out would be enough to make my eyes glaze over and run down the street.
Absolutely.
So there's a whole spectrum of stress levels and issues that homelessness, of course. I mean, there's just a lot. What do you think is something that's misunderstood about veterans and the veteran life, maybe their family life or their transition?
I think the biggest misconception when thinking about veterans is this idea that we're scary. And it goes a lot to do with our culture. I know when I was in the military, I learned very quickly the person that can yell the loudest is the person that's right. And that's something difficult to bring to a household of three little ones. So understanding how that's different and understanding, okay, maybe this is something I learned in the military and maybe this isn't something I need anymore to be successful. But the possibility to do that is there. I've met some of the most patient, soft-spoken individuals that are veterans. And I've also met some of the most short-tempered, loud-spoken veterans. And it's just when you said that large range, I think that's really what we're looking at. And I think a lot of times people try to create a one size fits all when it comes to us. And the reality is that's not it. We wouldn't fit one size. And I think it's really important to note that even though a lot of us have those similarities, we learned a lot of the same things, there's still so much that makes us different. And we're not all scary. Even the ones that are the scariest, I've been called downstairs for a 6 foot tall man, a big Berkeley man who's yelling at the receptionist. And I show up and I have a conversation like, hey, what's going on? And I'm Shirley, I'm veteran services. I'm a veteran myself. I see your hat. Thank you for your service and your sacrifices. What's going on? She's telling me my appointment's not till tomorrow at 4, but I knew it was today and I knew I was supposed to be here. And I'm like, yeah, I can understand why that's frustrating. If I wrote it down on my calendar, it's because I knew I was writing it down right. And it's like all of a sudden, it's the sweetest person. Yes, thank you so much for understanding. And we're able to kind of diffuse conflict from there. Now, there has been times where it is a little different, but more often than not, I am seeing the resolution come from that understanding. Someone who's not afraid to run into the fire. And I think a lot of us veterans have been trained that way. And I've had veterans who the VA calls me, oh, this veteran is combative and they're dangerous. And then I talk to them. I'm like, you don't seem very dangerous at all. And they're like, no, I think it's just a bad day for me. And I'm like, yeah, I've had those too. We're not all scary. And a lot of us do just want to get better and find our new place.
Yeah. And thinking about those 5 generations, I mean, just what mental health challenges that we face, even without the military component, just as human beings, and what it is to be in our 80s and what they might be afraid of. And if they're on medications, how that might affect how they perceive things or their anxiety levels or whatever. A parent with young children and how stressful that can be, but also adding the military component and that it's not a cookie cutter thing. The men and women that served in World War II and in Korea had a different military experience than those who served in Vietnam and the Gulf War and today. And the other thing that I find super interesting is that y'all aren't necessarily in forever. You're in for a short period of time, but it has made such an impact on your psyche and how you do things because you find a rhythm or a comfort. There's some camaraderie there when you meet a vet, like you are, doesn't matter what area you served in, like regardless of whether you were lifetime and retired from the military or if you were just in for a short time. And I think that's amazing that they can have the experience and the impact in that period of time.
Absolutely. And I think that's built into us day one. Boot camp. These are your brothers and sisters at arms. Look to your left, look to your right. That's your new family. And that is something we carry with us. It's almost like a badge of honor. We're looking at one another in that sense. And I can't tell you how many times that sibling proudness kind of comes out in court with our veterans. I'm just like, I can't believe this is happening. And then I have to remind myself, it's okay. We can overcome this. But there is that strong bond. It goes back to what the military is designed to do. And these people are like me. They know what I know, and I will trust them without question.
That's awesome. What does Tri-County offer? What does your office offer that's different from other services that veterans might have access to?
One of my favorite things about Tri-County is we are services kind of at a sliding scale. So if you're not insured or have insurance, we are definitely your place to go for mental health needs. Even if you're insured, we do have incredibly licensed and certified individuals providing amazing care. what we do that sets us apart is doing it how it's been proven to work. So we are consistent. We have protocol. We have individuals that hold us accountable for what our role is in the community. And we also have other agencies that lean on us as the experts. We've been in our community for over 70 years. We've continued to provide that mental health support, and people trust us. People know us. I think that's what really sets us apart from everyone else.
That's amazing. 70 years. So this is the Probate podcast, and my listeners are interested in probate and the season leading up to probate, and they're just looking ahead and want to streamline and be proactive, or they're in the throes of it and in the legal process, or even tidying things up after the legal process is done. And certainly there's a lot of veteran families that find themselves in probate. I know that there's some ideas about funerals and burials and things like that. Tell us a little bit about what you might hear from families that are in this season of their life as they say goodbye to someone that they love.
I think the common idea is that the National Cemetery will take care of everyone. And that's just it. That's how it's done. You're a veteran and they're going to take care of you. And while that is true in a sense, you do have to be proactive in trying to identify what you want. Veterans, normally, we are the planners. We want to have everything set. We know where everything's going. We want to be able to have those conversations with our families. And that's what we also recommend in our office. If we see anyone that maybe is showing a little bit of anxiety because they're entering this phase of their lives, we empower them to take ownership of it, take control of it. If you're worried about this, if you're worried about your family, how can we best have them prepared for it? And we have binders we give them where we're like, okay, let's start at step one. What is the VA going to provide for you? And really, when we start looking at what they provide, a lot of times the veterans like, oh my gosh, I was going to just write National Cemetery on there and have my family go away with it. And I didn't realize they didn't pay for your service. They give you the plot and everyone has to do everything else. Everything else includes making sure someone is there to render honors for you. And if you don't have a service home or a funeral home that is proactive in taking care of that, you might have a family that's really scrambling after your passing to really get everything in place that you deserve. So we always try to get them going. And I know, Sherri, we're so excited to be able to partner with you to take them even further, to say, have you thought about this? These are some additional questions that you might want to really hone in on. What we have them do is go back to, what do you want? What are the things you're not willing to fold on? And your must-haves, if you will. Then we kind of hone into, what does the VA provide? What does the state of Texas provide? How are they different? Where is there more?
Yeah, for sure. And then you can see what the state provides, what's part of the benefits that don't have to come out of their pocket, right? For those out-of-pocket expenses. And then if there are things that are important to them, the family needs to allocate those funds for that. And just to clarify here, does the VA cover burial and funeral?
They do not cover funeral.
And that's burial in the VA cemetery, correct?
Right. So if you're looking to be buried in your family plot, that isn't going to be covered. And even then, the headstone piece is also going to be really limited to what they do cover.
Okay, good to know. What's something that excites you about your job?
Oh my gosh. We had one of our mentors, amazing individual. He got involved with us 4 years ago with the Adopt a Family that we do every Christmas. So we normally adopt 3 veteran families that are going through some tough times all for Christmas, and we splurge them, get them really into the season of celebrating despite the hardships. And about 4 years ago, they adopted one family, and it was a single mom, Marine veteran. We met her in a hotel lobby. It was the start of the pandemic, and got him adopted that year. He came back and said, my organization wants to adopt him for the year. Followed through with them, got them out of a hotel. They're in an apartment. They're using the VA like homeless vouchers. The system is working properly. And we're really
Nice.
seeing this veteran get back on their feet. And they were so supportive, buying school supplies, tennis shoes, Easter baskets the entire time. And just recently, he was like, I really want this veteran to get on her feet, got the 100% disability, got child support through the Attorney General's office. And he was like, I think we can get her approved to buy a house. And it just
Wow.
started as an idea that small of, I think this can happen. And we just moved her into her house yesterday.
Oh,
Me and Emmanuel and the team were right before the storm getting furniture in her house. And I'm looking at these little ones, her three little ones, like, you have your own room. And that's amazing. And that's what excites me. What excites me is other veterans stepping up and saying, I'm not going to let you fall through the cracks. And knowing that even when we look at the whole spectrum of who we can help and how much help there is needed, there are so many amazing individuals behind me saying, we can do this. I always say my mentors are my mentors first. You're mentoring me first. I can learn so much from them. I mean, we have a 3-star general mentoring with us. We have individuals that served in Vietnam. We have individuals who have sold 3 businesses, just amazing individuals that are just doing phenomenal work in our community.
that's amazing. And I think this is a good time to say that when a veteran accesses the benefits that they qualify for, it does not take away from any other veteran's benefits, right? But one of the things that you said in class is that, well, the neighbor down the street needs help more than I do. And so they sit back and maybe forfeit or don't access some of the things that could help them get the things, their needs taken care of. But in this lady's case, so many people came together. It didn't take away from anybody else for her to get the help or him to get the help that they needed.
Absolutely. And you bring up such a really good point. I think it's built into us, the warrior ethos. I'm the strongest one out there. I don't need any help. I can do this on my own. That really kind of puts us out there for those benefits. Like, we don't want to access them. We don't want to utilize them. Save them for the veteran that really needs them. And what we're not realizing is, just like any other government, if those benefits, if that pot of benefits is not being utilized, that's the first thing to go when the government looks at what they're accessing and what can be saved, where pennies can be pinched. So we want to make sure that we are utilizing those services so that any veteran that does need them is coming in and has them there.
If someone's listening to this, and I hope tons of people are, and I hope that you get inundated with all these phone calls, what can they do to make their situation better? How can they be proactive, whatever their situation is? What's one thing that could make their life easier?
Absolutely. One of the things that I try to focus on is like the perspective and taking pause and looking around and being thankful and grateful for what we do have. I know, despite how much I love the Navy and being out to sea, there were nights that I would say, if I can just make it home, this is how I'll be. I will forever be thankful, forever be happy. And so I always try to tell my veterans, let's carry this plate together. You don't have to carry this alone. Let's
That's
share
good.
the weight and take a moment to realize you're here. We survived and we're home.
I
Everything
love
we
that.
prayed for, everything we hoped for when we were either stationed somewhere far away from our families or out to sea or out on deployment, taking a moment to say, I did it. I got it. I'm on the other side. And really what they can do to help themselves is not be afraid to ask for help. A lot of the task force that I sit in, that's what our biggest thing is. I never want the plate of anyone to get so heavy that they don't feel like they have a tomorrow. And ultimately, that's what my goal is, to not have that 22 a day, to not have any veteran ever feel like they have to take their lives because that plate got so heavy. It just didn't make sense to keep carrying it.
I love that. I've never heard that phrase before. Let me help you carry your plate. But I love that. We talk a lot about heavy plates and got so much on your plate, but yeah, we don't have to carry those plates by ourselves. And
Right.
I think we all have times where it just gets too much. Life gets hard sometimes. And if you can look around and allow other people in a little bit on your story, you don't have to tell everybody. But if you
Right.
can find some people that you trust to help you carry your plate, man, you can breathe again. You can sleep a little. You can relax your shoulders a little bit. And then your brain can start to open up to new possibilities and new perspectives because you're not the only one trying to hold it all together. Um,
Right. And it's so funny because I say that and I still need reminders of that.
yeah, yeah, me
And
too.
absolutely. I heard my team that's like, Shirley, you're literally carrying everything. Let me help you. And I'm like, yes. Instead of for that moment, I do have the pause, like, no, I can do it. I'm like, no,
Yes,
yes, thank you.
yes, yes, because it'll be your turn to help them sometime too. So, what's a common question that people ask you about veterans?
I think a lot of times the thing I get is, why don't they just use the VA? why are you here? Why aren't they just using the VA? And I think that is such a loaded question. I didn't use the VA when I first transitioned out of the military. It wasn't until I really started this role that I realized the importance of receiving care from the experts at hand. I was talking about pains and aches and things that my providers on the civilian side were like, you're too young to have this. There's no way that's what this is. But when I went to the VA, it was like, oh yeah, we see this all the time. And you're like, oh, okay. So no matter how much we try to say, like, we're not different, it's like, okay, so maybe my knee might be the state of a 50-year-old just because of the work we've had on it. And it's true that they are the experts in providing veteran care the way that the system is. They've been doing it for a long time and they know.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest misconception is why aren't we using the VA? It's so much stigma for it. And I know when I first started and it was the mental health conversation, there is kind of the possibility of the VA to deem somebody incapable or incompetent of their own care. So a lot of times that takes away the individual's freedom to either live a life that they want to live and now brings in a caregiver that maybe they weren't ready for. I mean, we're big,
Right.
tough veterans. We're strong on our own. We don't need any help. And now you're telling me that I do need some help. That's kind of a difficult pill to swallow. And additionally, having to be referred to places that you didn't want referrals for, that can also be difficult, almost feeling like you're not in control in your medical care. And I know when I first started, it was, if you want to die, you go to the VA. That's why we go there. And the VA is overcoming a lot, but we don't want any veteran to be turned away from any services. And so that's why we have this. This is why we're utilizing the grassroots efforts. This is why we're having other veterans come and talk to them and are more educated.
So what do you think would be an important question for people to ask?
How can I make my veteran feel at home?
Whether that's in the neighborhood, down the street, or at church or whatever. Like, just since I took that class, and I would plug your class too, that raise awareness of how can I get to know the veterans in my area better so that they're less scary if I'm afraid of them. I get to know them on a personal level. And I think about the little old man in Home Alone that the little boy was so afraid of until he got to know him better. And anyway, it may not make any sense whatsoever, but getting to know people certainly allows you to see their humanity. And so then we have more in common than we realized before.
Absolutely. And I think that would help the veteran too. We want to come home so bad and then we feel out of place when we come home.
Yeah.
And they
Yeah.
and say, I don't want you to feel out of place here. I get it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's powerful.
Is it okay to ask questions? Like, I mean, if there's this sense of I'm stronger than everybody else and I don't really want to let anybody know that I might be struggling, what would be some good questions? Or maybe if questions are too confrontational or too personal, what would be some good entry points that I could have to start a conversation? And maybe it's not even about their military service. Maybe it's just about their grass and their geraniums. I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. I will say, no matter what, we might have a little bit of a darker humor. So be prepared for that. Don't be put off by that. Even if little comments are made, a lot of times we're not serious. I didn't really notice that until the boss was like, hey, your humor's a little bit darker. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. Or like a little bit more sarcastic. And we get that a lot too. Veterans get told all the time, I can't tell if you're being sarcastic or not. And you're like, oh,
Here it is.
so whether the conversation is something like, oh, what branch did you serve in? And starting it from there versus what were your highlights? What was your lowest point? How are you finding it back home? Just being open and aware that you might receive a little snarky comment or a little something more sarcastic. And I think my favorite is instead of telling people, thank you for your service, is, hey, thank you for your sacrifices. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your life, your timeline, and doing what you did.
Yeah, that's important.
Absolutely.
One more thing that I think is important for us to cover is that you're a veteran, even if you don't go overseas. Is
Yeah,
that correct?
that is correct. And so the VA Title 38 has specific codes on what it means to be a veteran. And I think that has really turned other people off to what it is to call themselves a veteran. And it is as long as you received a discharge other than dishonorable. So if you received an other than honorable discharge, if you received a general under honorable conditions, you are a veteran. So we want to make sure that if we are worried about saying that word, like, are you a veteran? Because we're worried it might cause confusion. Asking the question, did you serve? Might be a more powerful way. And like, oh, I served in the National Guard. I served in the Army, but I didn't deploy. Which, yeah, you're still a veteran. Oh, I never considered myself a veteran because I didn't see combat. That doesn't necessarily determine whether or not you're a veteran. You're
Right.
discharged.
Right. And yes. And so then they might open themselves up to the possibility of those benefits that they could qualify for. So let's promote you and your office.
Yes. So
Yes.
I work luckily Tri-County Behavioral Healthcare here, Montgomery, Walker, and Liberty counties. And we always have a class once a month in the Conroe area. It's called the Military Culture Competency Training, and it is free of charge. It runs about 2 to 2.5 hours. We hold it every fourth Monday of the month, and you can find the details on Eventbrite. We have a Facebook where we promote not just what's happening here locally, but also like things that are happening in our community. Maybe if you weren't aware of new PACT Act information, Compact Act, the VA is constantly changing and growing, and we're putting as much information as we can on there. So look us up on Facebook, Tri-County Behavioral Healthcare Veteran Services. Look us up on Eventbrite. Track us on eventbrite.com/ Tri-County Behavioral Healthcare. All our trainings, all our services are free of charge. And you can absolutely give me a call here on my office line if you would like some more information. That number is 936-521-6132. But please, if any questions, we want to make sure that those are answered.
Yeah. And so I looked it up on the website, and Harris County has an office also. Does Fort Bend County have an office?
I don't
Okay.
think what we do with Fort Bend County is our Galveston area region and our Harris County will cover it, so that you're connecting and not kind of being left to the. You can find all the MVP and representatives on veteransmentalhealth.texas.gov.
Okay. It has been a pleasure, even though I've gotten to spend quite a bit of time with you over the past few weeks. I just learned some more today, and it's always a pleasure to spend time with you, Shirley, and look forward to working with you in the future to help our vets and their families. They don't have to carry their plate alone, and I'm glad that we're here to help them do what they need to do and keep their mental health healthy, right?
Thank you so much, Sherri. I appreciate you so much.
You're so welcome. Have a good rest of your day. That's all I have for now. New episodes of the Probate Podcast will come out on Thursdays. I also have a free public support group called Houston Probate Support on Facebook. You don't have to live in the greater Houston area to be a member, but I'd love to have you join me there. I'd love to have you join me on any of these platforms, including this podcast, and I'll share the links of where you can find me in the show notes below. I'm looking forward to us connecting. See you next time, and remember, you matter.